That's.
You would think of it. Well, you can see it.
Yeah.
You would turn it. Okay. You know how to do that? Let's do that. Don't you think? Because I'm somebody can do it.
Wow. Is that long? It's on. Yeah. I can see the long part still.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. I want to acknowledge the Smoking Valley in which we learn, work, and organize as the ancestor of Richmond and City Territory, Smoking people, and home of the Smoking Indian Band. Adoption of the agenda is presented. So moved.
So seconded.
Mr. Mayor. Favor. Carried. Thank you. Motion to adopt the 6/2024 regular meeting of council minutes, please.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. The errors or omissions, all in favor? It's carried. The March 13th special meeting of council minutes, motion.
So seconded.
Thank you. Errors or omissions? Carried. Thank you. Delegation, we have one delegation today, the Rolling Barrage 2024. We have a couple presenters. If you come up to the podium there, we have a preamble. Each delegation shall be limited to 15-minute presentation unless longer period is agreed to by 2/3 majority vote of council members present. So I'll just leave it at that. Need the rest.
That's good. I'm sure 15 minutes will be great. So my name is Sheila White, and I actually used to be a RCMP member here in the late 80s, early 90s, and I recognize some people in the gallery. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, councillors, Mr. McLean. And this is Scott Casey, and Scott Casey is the founder of the Rolling Barrage. So we're here today just to bring some awareness about the Rolling Barrage and the fact that we will be here overnighting on August the 16th this year. And we will also be here for the next 3 years. So we're hoping that by talking about what we're doing, what we're all about, the fact that we're going to be coming to Princeton for an overnight session for the next 3 years, that we can create a little bit of a legacy and goodwill with the town of Princeton. And we've already been in touch with Nadine. Had a meeting with her earlier this morning, and we're actually had a meeting with the Legion as well. So we've coordinated with the local Legion here for a meal and actually a dance on the night of August the 16th. But to back things up, so that's what's going to happen this year. I'll just let Scott introduce himself and talk a little bit, 15 minutes about the Rolling Barrage.
Sorry about your luck there. I started the barrage in 2016. That was what it comes out of is my desire to raise mental health awareness for our veterans and first responders. And during the initial startup of it, where it generates from, is I was on the first tour in Bosnia back in 1992. Roto Zero, they call it. And the 200 soldiers that I served with, 15 of them have taken their own lives since. And many more have, been killed in Afghanistan, so on, and other tours. Each one of them has come home with mental challenges from combat. And I also recognize that in first responders. So we're trying to do more than just create awareness. We're actually, the ride generates wellness. So all of our riders that come along with us, whether they're with us for 20 minutes or the full 21 days, they find wellness on the ride. And one of the things that we love about communities like Princeton is that community feel when they come in, every one of our riders recognizes that more so than when they ride into downtown. It's completely different. So first responders, veterans, they come from small towns just as much as they come from big cities. So quite often small communities are lost in that, when it comes to funding and so on. So it's for me, it's a really intrinsic, it's that fabric, social fabric that we're trying to create. And Sheila's used the great terms like goodwill and the legacy that can be built through small communities. So that's why I started it, and why we are now looking into our 8th year this year. We're already planning for our 10th year as well. So we're visionaries in that regard because it's a ton of work by our volunteers, and including myself, I'm the founder, and none of us on our executive or our board takes a wage. We're all volunteers. There's no money that comes to us. It's all done on our own time. So
Yeah, and so to add on to that, the barrage or the rolling barrage starts in St. John's, Newfoundland, and the motorcycle riders ride across the country right to the Pacific Ocean. So this, like Scott said, we've done it 7 years in a row. This is our 8th year, so we are not a flash in the pan. And we've picked Princeton as a stopover, and it will be, like I said, a stopover for the next 3 years. So we wanted to bring this to council's awareness. Like I said, we are working with Nadine to get the word out there that of what we're doing, and to listen for the rumble. What we appreciate riding through the smaller towns, and we've had lots of support from the small towns, the local legions, the small service groups. It's been amazing, but just to ride into town and having people wave is it's very heartfelt for the riders, and it brings them a lot of goodwill amongst themselves. So anybody can take part in the ride. It's not a military ride. It's not a first responder ride. It's for everybody, whatever type of bike that you have. No scooters, but it has to be a motorcycle. Highway speeds, yeah. And the ride is usually a 3-week period. So St. John's, Newfoundland to Vancouver. It's a regimented ride where there's designated stops, so it doesn't matter what the weather is. Last year, it was monsoon season on the East Coast, and I think it took us a week to dry out literally.
Yeah.
So if there's any questions that...
Is there a facility available, like you're dealing with people that have problems in that? Or is it just like provincial or federal facilities that are available for them to, when they're feeling down or things are for them year round for them to go to?
yeah, so part of the ride is a 2-part piece. One is we have wellness created on the ride itself. Ride therapy is what it's called. It's actually been recognized now by the Mental Association, but also it's a fundraiser. So in the last 8 years, 7.5 years, we've donated out $200,000 to organizations that go through our stringent vetting process to make sure that they're on the level, and all the money goes to programs and facilitating key coordinators to look after these people while they're in-house. So organizations that we look after, that we provide funds to, like Honor House in Vancouver, Honor Ranch, which is in just out of Ashcroft. Can Praxis is a therapy organization in Alberta. Valley Point Retreat is in Nova Scotia. So we're trying to find organizations, specific ones across the country that people can go to that are going to look after them properly.
And I won't steal the mayor's thunder because I know how strong he feels about this, but, you know, from a personal point of view, long overdue that we try and give back something to those people that gave so much. It's a heck of a thing to do.
A couple of things. So you overnight in Princeton, is there a facility chosen for that?
Yes, there is. We're staying at the
Copper Mountain Inn.
Copper Mountain Inn and Suites. I was gonna say the old name, but
Okay, all right. And question number 2, and this is probably just a guess on your part, how many bikers, participants can we expect here on that particular night?
Probably on just the base level right now, probably 100 people.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay, perfect.
So it's it can change. Weather is obviously a factor. Some people don't like to ride in the rain.
Well, I could see where you're going to pick some up along the way as well. I absolutely understand.
so people can join for what we call a leg or point A to point B, a province, a regional area. We have 39 riders that are actually doing what we call the full pull. So they're riding from St. John's to Vancouver so far, and it's only third week of March.
We're only 3 weeks into registration having been opened. So last year we had 44 that rode right across. So this year, now that we've opened registration 2 months earlier than last year, we could see even more than that this year, conceivably over 50.
Oh, awesome. Glad you work with Nadine. The guy on the other side of there might be somebody to contact and have a chat with as well. Dave's one of our fire chiefs in the area, and also the with us about the fire chief group, and they meet regularly. This is top of mind for all of us. A lot, and I myself will come counsel. So yeah, no, thank you for picking us and stay tuned.
That's very appreciated. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, move on to number 6, is staff reports, public hearing report, 89 Tapton Avenue, official community plan change amendment bylaw, 1047, 1058, 24, Mark.
I can. This is just a report on the public hearing we held on March 6th for 89 Tapton. We received no written notices. Nobody attended the public hearing. And I'm just asking council to receive and file this report.
Any questions on that? Motion approved. Thank you.
So seconded, Mr. Mayor.
Last chance to ask a question. All in favor? Thank you. This is a good one. 6.2 business facade improvement grant application for 170 Bridge Street, which is the Legion.
Yep. So the owners, the Legion branch, has put in an application for the facade improvement grant funding. Their plan is to rejuvenate the timbers that are at the top of their structure, bring them back level with the building, and refinish them, repaint them, make it look a little more modern on the front side of the building, as well as new signage. If you've by there lately, it's burnt up like a lot of the other ones have been lately. So new signage, as well as painting in the off the Vermilion front. They have that back barbecue area that's visible, touching up some of that paint in the backside as well. Their projected project cost is up to $81.60. They made it clear that those are estimates without a lot of volunteer support, and they think a lot of the a lot of the man hours will end up being volunteer hours. So their max estimate is about $8,000 for this project.
I'm assuming the murals that exist already on the the Veterans Avenue side and the Bridge Street side will be untouched?
Yeah, they said the painting would be on the timbers on the front on Bridge Street, and then in the barbecue space at the back, they've got some unfinished trim and I think even doorways that don't even have trim on them right now that they're gonna finish up and just spruce up that space.
I'm assuming the timbers are to kind of sort of tied in with the look of the visitor center across the road. Is that
It's
the concept?
the beams are existing and they're just they just want to change the look of them a little bit, bring it back closer to the building and just clean it up a little bit.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Motion to, so they're asking for.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. I got it. Okay, this is a good one. Any last questions? All in favor? Excellent. It's good to see some of the nonprofits using this program. The next one is another 6.3, another business facade improvement grant, and it's for $251 per million, which is the Williamson Village.
Hospital excellence. Yes. So another application for $251 per million. This one is to install a new sign on the top of their Vermilion frontage. There's an example of the sign there provided. They have said they don't know if this is the final design, but kind of a concept of what they want at the top of their building there. This project has come in at approximately $4,200 for installing the sign. They're aware they would need sign permits and everything to finish it up, but another nonprofit applying for the grant as well.
Any questions on this?
I guess I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
I did have one quick comment. That's, I wouldn't take it offline. I'm questioning the use of logo. And if we have to have something in writing to we can do that.
Are they asked Mark and Carrie to see if we couldn't come up in the future with some kind of a ballpark figure in terms of, because I really believe what we are putting out there is doing a lot to enhance our downtown area. But I think that the numbers are going to really surprise us in terms of what we put out and what comes back in value, whether it's through the Legion and volunteers or whatever. Still, the amount of enhancement that's going on the downtown streets, it'd be interesting to be able to figure that out.
You should be able to do that with some stuff. So.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. Carried. 6.4. Request for purchase of 3 fire pumps.
Yeah, so this is a request for $20,742.35 for the purchase of 3 wildfire pumps. This is funding that is funded through the CRI grant for FireSmart. So in the annual funding that they provide us, they allow us to spend up to $45,000 a year on structure protection equipment, and this is part of that $45,000.
Questions?
Do you think you'll be able to find water to go into the one?
Yeah,
Are you buying that on?
I hope so.
I guess it's my turn. I'll move that, Mr. Mayor.
Are you guys taking turns on the
I guess.
I will say I was just in Salmon Arm over the weekend, and Rebel soaking on the way out of Salmon Arm. The fires there are popping back up, and the hillside was smoking away from the fires from last year. And you know, it's a quad, and there's one just outside of Lumbee. I don't know what its size it is today, but it was 3 hectares yesterday, and growing. So
Scary.
It is scary, and those were right outside of town, right? So, okay, if there's no questions, all in favor? Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Next one. It's your turn, Jim.
6.5.
Yeah, 6.5, some paving on, the road.
Good evening, everyone. This evening I'm asking for approval to spend $37,000, $37,002.00, including tax, on an outstanding invoice for paving from 2023. It was an oversight when we did the original preparation for the staff report for the annual paving program for 2023. There was two entries into the Vermilion corridor portion, and I had only reported on the smaller portion. All the work was completed. The late invoice was for a section of 937 meters of paving that wasn't captured in the initial staff report. This evening, I'm asking for the approval to pay up the outstanding invoice to Peters Brothers. We are a little late in preparing for this just because I was waiting for staffing, seasonal staffing to come back to Peters Brothers to give us a accurate report on what we're spending the money on. So that's my report.
James, where's the money going?
So it's coming from the paving reserve. So a number of the paving projects, and this is, just to back up and inform council of sort of how this all worked at the end of the day. I kind of view this as sort of a, number one, a lot of these paving projects came from funding through DFA. So, we had some areas that were damaged from the flood that we ended up paving from last year. So we actually ended up having a net surplus in the paving reserve from last year. So, that's why it says that we're, the proposed resolution says we're gonna take that from the paving reserve. Second of all, it's a little bit of a celebration of our, internal accounting processes here. Both times, our new accounting clerk, Amy Burke, picked up both times that they had exceeded the original resolution for council. So Jim has had to make two presentations, one for the invoice at the plaza and the other for the invoice, this one for the invoice on Vermilion, that we're picking these up and we're making sure that we enforce the purchasing policy as written. So I just like to put in a kudos to her that she's diligently picking this stuff up. So it'll come out of the paving reserve from last year if approved by council, and we have $96,000 at the end of 2023, so a $35,000 invoice won't affect.
Also, the rest of the year.
I was curious where we're talking about.
So it would have been the section that was on the opposing side of Vermilion Avenue. So there's a stretch from basically where the hair salon is now. That was not captured in the original presentation. We had looked at a number of patches that I had reported on, from where the library was to basically Max Auto Reports was what I had reported on.
So this is just basically bookkeeping.
Essentially, at the end of the day, it's, in my opinion, a slap on the hands to myself for not catching this in the regional report. And basically, it is a bookkeeping issue. This invoice had come in after the close of the 2023 capital budget, because it did come in January. So, and to echo what James has said, it was captured by our other staff, Amy Burke, and reported on this and then brought to its appropriate attentions.
Much better when you slap your own self.
Well, absolutely.
So I'm missing one of the pieces of the puzzle here. This is work that has been done.
It has
It's
been
outstanding for us to pay for.
It has been completed. The work has been completed. Like I say, it was just a bookkeeping issue that we not captured when I did the initial report. Like I say, there was two submissions, two entries on the Vermilion Avenue corridor. I only reported on the smaller section. I did not report on the bigger section.
So, and we discussed this a while ago, and system where resolutions would be followed. And we have a tracking system or something in place. Yeah, I don't remember on Gantt chart system for me. Sorry to throw you in there, but this seems to be a thing.
Well, this is 2 points. Number one, this is a continuation from the original problem we had back when we approved the paving plan back in the summertime or springtime of last year. This is the second invoice that popped up that went an overage on the expenses, but yes, we are tracking these, and yes, it was caught, so that's why.
I'm just wondering if we're going to catch it before it happens, because these things shouldn't be surprising to council.
If I may speak a little bit on this, so this year or in 2023, we had probably done the most sizable amount of paving work in Princeton since I've been here. I've never seen a paving project as immense as it has been. To add to that, we did have the plaza asphalt work. We had the paving work that we did at the Brownbridge Trail Parkway. We had more than a normal amount of saw cuts for water utilities, that kind of thing. We had picked up that emergency repair on the Princess Orland Road. That was not captured in the original plan, but it came. So we had to react to that. It was totally a reactionary thing. So there was a lot of, I want to say a lot of activity that was sort of not so much out of my control, but there was more than normal activity going on. So I could definitely see that this 34,000 had fallen through the cracks. So.
As far as I'm concerned, when we get tenders, put it out and get a bid back, you'll start the project, they can come across extenuating circumstances that we have to live with. I mean,
I agree. So, but, well, how much was the last one and this one? Sizably over.
well, okay, but surely to goodness, the amount has been approved. But
This,
yeah,
this amount wasn't approved, it was that other.
no, I mean that there was an over cost amount, which probably they came to you and said, this is that as a result of so and whatever, this is the reason that the bill is higher.
Well, in this case, it had come in and after, it was an invoice after the close of the 2023 season. It actually came in January 2024. So it was, it was more so an accounting on their part. I mean, they said, oops, we forgot to put this in. And I was like, oops, I forgot to.
In the original quote?
In the original quote, I mean, essentially what I originally reported on for capital expenses for that year was around $250,000, let's say $1,000.
Yeah, but the problem here isn't, the problem is how much they agreed to do the job for. And then for no reason, then they're increasing that amount. I don't mean for no reason, but to me, that part of it isn't explainable. That doesn't make sense. For them to put a bid in to dig a ditch, and then halfway through the ditch, they find a great big giant rock that they're gonna have to do something about. And as a result, come to you and say, we have to increase the amount that we had because of this problem. I think that'll probably happen all the time.
Well, it should.
But to not explain to you why
So to better explain the processes with Peters Brothers, it's usually the past practice has usually been two parts. So I usually come in, make a submission for capital expenditures. So we kind of look at have a snapshot of what the budget amount is, and then I'll make a report. I'll basically go out, do a measure up, and then report on that within a few dollars either way. The only thing that we don't have control over is the operational and maintenance side of things. So like I alluded to earlier, we have the amounts of maintenance saw cuts, so utility cuts, i.e. the water department, that we have no control over. They could, you know, at the beginning of the year, we could have 2 or 3 cuts. And then by the time Peters Brothers or contractors roll into the scene, we could have as many as 8 cuts. So this year, we were doing maintenance repairs as Peters Brothers was still here paving. So we just arbitrarily added that on because we know that we have the maintenance budget to cover that. The only sort of anomaly to the usual reporting was the DFA. So we had the flood repair damage behind the senior center, the walking way path, and then the add-on with the plaza paving that we were able to cover that in the DFA because that was the muster area for all the scrap metal.
So just back before, did we not have a paving budget and a maintenance budget? Was that not something we used to have? I remember we had
a paving budget.
and we had like repairs to like water lines. Do we not still have that?
We have a repair budget for roads and we have a capital paving budget. Road repair tends to be very minor repairs, potholes and some very, very minor saw cuts would go under that. It's not a very large budget. Most of the repaving of roads would come under the capital budget. We get into accounting differentials pretty quickly when, you know, when you repair a road for $100,000, I can't call it a maintenance thing. It has to be a repair. Yeah.
Maybe off topic, but years ago, we put in a policy that we pave a road, before we pave a road, we do the
Infrastructure.
whatever. Is that still in place? For instance, if we did Fenchurch or whatever, for the 50th time, we would go along there and do all the services that were
Needing repair.
right, because
Like that's why we get Route 2 only now, because we only had one crossing and improvement. So what is that?
So
Are we not doing that?
So to answer that question, our budgets for paving are separate. So mine subdivision is one that's in my crosshairs. I'd like to redo all the pavement in mine subdivision. I mean, that's a multi-dollar thing. So if I were to do that and, you know, respect your wishes, Councilor McLean, we would be in the millions of dollars to do all the infrastructure, water lines, and then pave, and then do our curbs and gutters.
Whoa. We're not talking about redoing everything.
Mhm.
We're talking about going through there. We do services every once in a while.
Yeah.
And what I'm talking about is you're gonna do a street, you go through there, the Leonards and whatever know which ones have been done lately and which ones are older. And we do the ones that are the oldest and very seldom, but once in a while, we'll do the water main, right?
Yeah.
But that's not millions of dollars. It's just simply, and if you're gonna talk about millions of dollars, talk about how much it costs to rip up the pavement that you put down when you don't do that work.
No, absolutely. But this is the new world that we live in. We just cannot, you know, do the paving. Let's say we were doing 1,000 meters of pavement. So I'll report on 1,000 meters of pavement. It'll come in as $1 amount. Then I have to report on doing water services to, let's say, 6 to 10 addresses. So we'll take the asphalt amount and then we essentially will have to triple it, you know, because essentially it'll be a curb stop, water, you know, the valves, all that kind of stuff. It's not cheap. It's definitely not cheap.
It isn't cheap, but it has to
I
be
understand
done.
what you're saying.
So
Yeah.
whether you do it now or whether you do it when you rip up the pavement, it's gonna be even more expensive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if we took a section like the flood damage repaired with all the sidewalks, the asphalt has to be done there. That is where you would, you know, throw the dart, start it, let's say Thomas Avenue. Do all the, you know, sidewalks, what's little there, do all your infrastructure, do all that kind of stuff. But that is a large capital expenditure.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to the matter. So we have an outstanding bill we have to pick up.
Seconded.
All in favor? Carried. With that though, I'd like to, maybe before we go into budgeting this fall, we should sit down and talk about our structure policy on how to maintain this. So move forward from here. We're not doing much paving at all this year.
We have no payment.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks,
7 is council reports. I'll start with Councillor Elliott, because he's part of this way.
Not so sure how I want that one to read, but thank you very much. Lot of meetings, so I'll try to just cut it down to the big ones. March 13th went to Museum Society monthly meeting. Tonight is their annual general meeting, so I'll be conducting their election of officers. A couple of days ago, I delivered a Love a Locum gift to Cascade Clinic on behalf of the mayor and town of Princeton. Yesterday, I attended a Canadian Mental Health Association meeting in Penticton via Zoom, saved me some road time. And later in the same day, yesterday, I attended the Princeton Healthcare Steering Committee meeting also electronically, and that's pretty much it for me.
Thank you. Councillor.
briefly, we had quite a crowd for the 7th game of our series. I had a question. I read some paper from the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change talking about recycling.
I sent you.
Yeah. Did we go over that?
So the reason why I sent it to you was because the last meeting when we were discussing the landfill, you wanted to propose that we submit a resolution to SILGA and then to UBCM for recycling for industrial commercial. And I explained that I would look up and see if there's anything already that's gone to the UBCM. The motion that, if it's what's in front of you, went to the UBCM last year, and there is previous motions to the UBCM for recycling for commercial and again industrial recycling. From what I gather from that comment from the ministry is they're working on something, and it looks like they're hoping it will be rolled out in 2025. The problem that they're having with it is that when you look at the cardboard or the recycling, you have different types. You have industrial that could have some contamination in it. You have restaurants that could have food or other products on it. So they're trying to roll it out so that when they introduce it, that it's easily streamlined, and they've considered all the different industries and commercial entities that are out there.
What I was trying to understand from that, when you read this thing, is whether it sounds like they're thinking along the same lines as we are to try and find a solution to this. Like, if we're going to separate all this stuff, then we're going to do something with it, because if we're not going to do something with it, then why are we separating it? And it sounded as if, but I thought when I read it, they were hoping prior to 2025 that hopefully something sooner would come up in terms of.
They made it sound like they may have a report out early this year and then roll out the program in 2025.
Oh, okay.
So all I got was the UBCM resolution. You can see it online.
Yeah.
Looked up recycling, came to that one. Then I went to the minister's response and was able to copy it and send it out to council so that you could review it.
Because my point that I was trying to make, that besides the fact that it took us a while to get at this, but I have no problem with our landfill. I think it's the cleanest and most well run we've had in years, and we've seen a lot of them. My problem is the joke that he has to live under in terms of BC recycling, or
The regulations that are.
exactly. And hopefully that email you sent me there's a hope that something, can be done in terms of trying to come to grips with this. Anyway, that was I had to
Hopefully. Okay. Thanks. Been busy. I've been busy, just not the same way. I took a few days off. Last week, we did have a Silica board meeting where we were discussing the upcoming convention. Everything seems to be in the works. And I took a little trip up to the shoe club thing. Stealing ideas all over the place. Texting and calling Gary up, Jared and everything else. One of the really cool ones, I'll show you guys, but there's, you know how we have our signs up about what water restrictions were under? The Salmon Arm has a meter that they put at all their, the entrances to all their neighborhoods. And even when you come into town, there's a meter and it has, just like the old fire ones, where it says what the fire danger was. It has the meter for what level of water restrictions you're on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think there's one up to 5. So I sent that to Jared and said we should look into that. That way there's something permanent around the community. Drugs not going to pay. And just reality now. So so Jared's going to look into that for us and get back to us on those, because we don't have people stealing our signs. I have 2 meetings with ministers coming up in the next couple of days, and which one? Energy and Mines, and the other one to say. Just keep your ears open. Yeah, so I think that's all. Right now. Move on to the correspondence from Stephen File, one from the Vancouver Humane Society. Motion to do something.
Yeah, I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, the file. Very good. And okay, we have a couple of response action requested. First one is Mining for Miracles. There's a request that I participate in the upcoming fundraising event. I've already agreed to this. The Mining for Miracles, if you remember last year, it's usually between 2 mines. Last year, Government Mine had their competitor back down, so they called me and said, "Would you take a pie in the face if we raise more money than you?" And I said, "Of course, it's for Children's Hospital." This year, rather than even looking for a competitor, Copper Mountain asked if I would participate again. I said yes. So we just need a resolution from council to say
Is
that.
there a reason that there's no date on here, so we won't be able to watch it?
And we will. It will happen during mine days downtown. I will be here this year. FCM is not on the same days this year, so I will be here. And hopefully we actually win this time. I get to fight Cord instead of buying me. Oh yeah, I do need to amend the recommendation that this is that Mayor Coyne participate in the upcoming fundraiser, because it's between 2 people. So, Councillor Elliott.
It says virtual pie throw.
Last year we had to do a virtual one because I wasn't here, so we just filmed it.
But this is going to be the real deal this
This
time.
one should be the real deal down in the town square.
And you will announce the time and date.
I'm sure there's a big production around it. That's out of my control.
So there will be a time and date.
There will be a time of day. You will all know. You guys better not be donating to the mine.
You read my mind.
I don't know about you guys.
Can anybody bring a pie or?
No. I need a seconder.
Yeah, I'll second it to get it on the floor.
Thanks. Do you have any further questions? All in favor?
Absolutely.
Anybody opposed? Scary thing. It's a great program. It's a great thing. We did it last year, and we actually raised a whole bunch of money at Silga because did a video and put it up at Silga. We got a bunch of donations there.
You assumed I was in favor of that.
Said opposed, you said, you didn't put your hand up. Are you opposed? I'm in favor,
No,
so it's
No,
3 to
no,
1
no,
anyway.
just-
I do have a vote.
Figure out a way to make it vote.
Yeah, I am opposed to that.
Okay.
Yes.
Keremis Rodeo Association Parade, May 20th. Motion that whoever's available.
I'll make that motion, and if I'm available, I'll attend.
Second?
Second.
You. You have to go. All in favor? Carried. Last one of the day is a bylaw, 10.1 to amend official community plan to redesignate 89 Tappan Avenue from TC Town Center to MR medium density residential and rezone 89 Tappan Avenue from C2 Central Business to Comprehensive Development Zone C2 Duplex only, and motion is to. Mark, do you need to speak to it? No. Or
I don't think there's anything other than, Modi has signed off on the bylaw at this point, so here for adoption.
Are we getting any closer to doing something here?
They, the other 2/3 of this project are, both have building permits in street now.
This is the last step.
That's the last. There's also a development permit coming for this project once the bylaws adopted. That'll be the last development application prior to this one's.
You promised.
thank you. Second.
I'll second it, and Councillor McLean basically echoed my feelings. I was gonna ask, are we gonna get shovels in the ground after this?
Yeah, I think that, as mentioned, both the mixed use portion of this one and the twin duplex both have are in for plan reviews right now.
Thank you. With that, motion to adjourn.
Motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second. Plan, all in favor?
No, I'm in favor of that.
Carried, thank you. Good night, everybody.